Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely stoked to share this one with you because we're doing something a little bit different today, but it's incredibly fascinating. We're looking at a highly unconventional transcript sourced from a piece of media titled The Super Mario Galaxy Movie 2026. Now, on its surface, this text appears to be nothing more than a chaotic, almost random assortment of sound effects, exclamations, and scattered character names. But we are going to treat this minimalist, avant-garde wall of text with the utmost academic seriousness. Why? Because when you actually map it out, you uncover a profound, deeply structured narrative arc that perfectly mirrors classical storytelling. Let's get right into it. So, here's how we're going to break this down today. First, we'll examine the initial exuberance. Second, entering the perilous unknown. Third, the sibling dynamic. And finally, the climax and ultimate resolution. All right, Section 1. The initial exuberance, otherwise known as the departure. Right off the bat, you'll notice an overwhelming, almost aggressive wave of positivity. At the start of our source material, the text is completely saturated with phrases like, woohoo, here we go, oh yeah, and wow. We're talking absolute statistical dominance here. There are literally zero negative reactions at this stage. It sets an incredibly bright, fast-paced emotional baseline. We don't even need a narrator to tell us the hero is eager and pumped for an adventure, right? Because the sheer density of these positive exclamations does all the heavy lifting for us. And what's wild is how perfectly these emotional checkpoints align with classical story structure. Think about it. We start way up high with "here we go," plummet down into real physical and emotional pain at the midpoint with "ouch," hit this bizarrely profound thematic climax with Mario fools men to win, and then safely return home with a simple "bye everybody." This trajectory proves a core concept of our analysis. Raw, unfiltered emotion entirely replaces traditional exposition to move the plot forward. Moving right along to Section 2, entering the perilous unknown, or the abyss. Just listen to this repetition. No, 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 no. When you hear that, the pacing naturally has to slow down, doesn't it? The pitch drops, it completely reflects the sheer despair of the moment. We find this isolated, repetitive phrase buried deep within the middle of our transcript. All those rapid-fire yahoos from earlier, they're completely gone. In their place is a literal wall of denial. It is just such a beautifully minimalistic way to signify hitting absolute narrative rock bottom. Now, what's really fascinating here is the complete lack of traditional scene setting. There's no spooky dark cave or mustache-twirling villain. Instead, the language itself just breaks down to thrust us straight into the peril of the unknown. We get hit with these jarring, distressing fragments, things like "too black," "ouch," "not bleed," and even the incredibly cryptic "I'm sword." We literally have no idea what that means textually, but the emotional context screams exactly what's going down. Our hero is experiencing intense conflict, utter disorientation, and sheer vulnerability. As the environment gets more and more hostile, the language fractures even further into these strange, unique phrases. We start encountering wildly alien things like "Tsukimi," "car forest time," "Sequosh cut remote," and "ya yabble." Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds like pure nonsense, right? But within the context of our hero's journey, these actually act as critical narrative motifs. They represent the deeply disorienting, bizarre nature of the abyss our protagonist has fallen into. The world has literally stopped making sense, and the text reflects that chaos to a T. Following that crazy linguistic breakdown, we can actually put a number on the protagonist's constant state of shock: 116. That is the staggering, approximate number of times the simple word "oh" is used as a verbal crutch throughout this entire ordeal. Think about that for a second. It's the desperate sound of a character constantly on their back foot, perpetually reacting to new threats rather than driving the action. But hey, as with all great stories, this helplessness just can't last forever. Which brings us to Section 3, the sibling dynamic, the alliance. This is where we see a massive shift. Notice the stark juxtaposition in the language playing out here. On one side, you've got the general panicked noise of the void, all those random ahs and wows. But cutting right through that static, we suddenly get targeted, cooperative phrases directed at a specific ally. We hear "show Luigi," "way to go Luigi," and "thanks bro." Our hero is no longer just yelling into the abyss, they are actively engaging with a partner to survive. It's a total game changer. A crystal clear sibling alliance emerges from the chaos. We start seeing sibling acknowledgments acting as an anchor, things like "oh hello bro" and "oh it's me Luigi." And paired with that are these incredible reassurances. "Okay, I can do it. Get the power. Hang on there." These phrases inject some much-needed structural warmth and hope into the narrative. The hero is gathering strength not just from within, but from this crucial, unbreakable bond, gearing up for the ultimate test.
And that leads us to our final act, Section 4, Climax and Ultimate Resolution, The Return.
Right in the middle of all the frantic, rapid-fire exclamations, the text suddenly drops this incredibly specific, undeniably thematic bombshell. Mario Fool's meant to win. I mean, wow. If you read that with the utmost deadpan seriousness, it practically carries the weight of a Shakespearean revelation. It is a bold assertion of destiny in a universe governed by pure chaos. It's the protagonist finally realizing their true inherent purpose, right at the most desperate climactic moment of the battle. That epiphany triggers the final push, unfolding in a flawless chronological sequence of frantic energy turning into victory. Step 1 is the conflict itself, marked by this urgent, breathless phrasing. Tuck and fan. Keep moving. Step 2 is building momentum as the siblings coordinate their attack. This way, let's go, come on. And finally, step 3, the triumph, an absolute explosion of earned positivity. Yes, yahoo, yes, yeah. The narrative structure here is just undeniable. So, after enduring that relentless barrage of oh no's from earlier, a simple word like phew suddenly carries an immense amount of narrative weight. It is a pure, unadulterated expression of relief. It signifies that our protagonist has successfully survived the abyss. In a text completely devoid of standard descriptive paragraphs, this one single syllable tells us everything we need to know. The danger has officially passed. The massive physical and emotional tension we've been tracking instantly deflates. Which brings us to the very end of the text. It wraps up with a triumphant, incredibly warm return to safety. Bye, everybody! Just like that, order has been restored to the universe. Our hero ventured out into the terrifying, nonsensical unknown, barely survived with the help of a loyal ally, and has now returned home to address us one final time. I want to leave you with this provocative thought to chew on. If a profound, deeply resonant emotional arc can be effectively mapped onto a minimalist, wonderfully strange script composed almost entirely of yahoos and oh no's, what does that reveal about the universal power of structure over dialogue? It honestly proves that how we organize information, the highs, the lows, the pacing, is often way more important than the actual words being spoken. It challenges how we consume and understand media, showing us that even the most unconventional, seemingly chaotic source material contains a beautifully structured story just waiting to be unpacked. Thank you so much for joining me on this wild explainer today, and remember to keep looking for the story hidden in the noise.